But then Ray Milland.
All right, we're good now.
Ray Milland has sold his soul to the devil.
Exactly. Because it always be somebody who's in serious
Right,
movies for
right.
the 40s.
Can Mr. Rourke convince Satan to give him his soul back before he burns in the pits of hell?
Didn't Mr. Rourke actually talk to Satan in one of them?
No.
I swear.
No. You said one. I feel like he talked to him a couple of times. But the wild stuff was they acted like they knew each other.
Like they boys.
Satan would be like, Jonathan. It's like, Jonathan? Is that Mr. Rourke's first name?
Because we never learned Mr. Rourke's first name, right?
Jonathan, I haven't trusted you since we were fraternity brothers in college. It's like, why was he fraternity brothers with Satan?
No, but
how old is Mr. Rourke?
It wouldn't be fraternity brother with college. I haven't trusted you since Barabbas.
Right. Exactly.
Then you'd be like, what the fuck?
Right. Since you saved those little girls in Gomorrah, I've known that I can't trust you to follow through. It's like, wait, what?
Ever since you put the last of those cats on the ark,
Right.
I've said...
Right. It's like, how old is Mr. Rourke? What is the deal with Mr. Rourke?
Yes.
Does tattoo belong to him?
Wait a minute. We're on air right now, right? Okay.
What y'all didn't hear, we were talking about crossovers between shows, which then led to the Fantasy Island Love Boat crossover, which was a weird fit because Fantasy Island would get really dark.
Yes.
And Love Boat was Love Boat. So it was weird to cross them over. But then Lynn pointed out, and I was just talking about this with somebody in the past month, how Love Boat would have 3 stories.
No, Fantasy Island.
Both of them, really.
Well, yeah.
Fantasy Island would have 3 stories, and 2 of them would be light and frothy and, wacky. But then the third one would be like this kind of
Twilight
episode,
Zone.
Right, or dark,
Night Gallery.
Night Gallery.
Yeah. Yep. It sure would.
So we starting all over again?
Yes, we have to start all over.
Okay. Welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I'm joined as always by my partner.
Yo, what's up? Holla at your boy. This is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble.
And on this stop of the mission, as we are in the 2nd week of May, or as we affectionately call it, Mother May I Have Another One of Those Bad Black Movies, it is Lynn's turn, as he will lead us in a discussion of 1996's sci-fi action thriller, Solo, starring Mario Van Peebles. But before we get into that, how are you, Lynn?
I'm doing great, Vincent.
Good
How
to
about
hear.
yourself?
I'm also well.
Shout out to everyone out there in the chat. Hello to each and every one of you, as we are now finally streaming live via Restream from the Video Content Factory here in Manayunk to YouTube. I see Farrell Blackwell, Deborah Battle, wondering what kind of Fantasy Island conversation you've walked in on. Oh, it was glorious.
As a Fantasy Island conversation would be.
It was. It actually reminded me that I told you that I went to the NFL draft.
Yes.
And we drove, like it was me and 2 guys, and we drove 17 hours to Kansas City. Mm-hmm. So my job, part of it was keeping the driver awake.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but I had this fascination with, I saw this big trailer pass us on the road, and it got me thinking of, remember Superbus? The TV, it was a pilot TV movie about a huge nuclear powered bus that went cross country from California to I think the East Coast.
Was this post-apocalyptic?
No, it's not. No, it's not post-apocalyptic. It's basically trying to be like the Love Boat, but on a bus.
I do remember that.
And I don't know.
That's a good pull.
I don't know
because
what
usually I remember stuff like this.
I don't do it. I don't know what.
That's a good pull.
Made me think about it, and I spent a good half an hour talking to my nephew, who's never heard of.
Of course not.
Extolling to him the virtues of Superbus.
Yeah.
How I like. I think when it came out, I must have been like maybe 10 or 11 years old.
Absolutely.
To me, it was like, why is there not more of this?
Why aren't there more?
I want to be on this 2-story bus.
These huge buses.
With this nuclear powered rocket in the back of
right, which makes you go fast. As nuclear powered. Now you said it was a pilot, or did it go?
It was actually a TV movie.
It's a TV
that they wanted to go to.
It was a backdoor pilot.
But this was back in the days of practical effects.
Absolutely.
So they made the bus.
They made something.
But they realized that with making that bus, well, then we're going to have to put the bus on the road a little bit.
Right,
it was
right.
too expensive.
It was too expensive
to put the bus on the road.
Right. I think the other issue was that it's one of the stupidest ideas I've ever heard.
It's one of the dumbest ideas ever for a TV show. But but Farrell Blackwell's pointing out that Superbus sounds like the predecessor to Snowpiercer.
Oh, Deborah Battle was saying it was Super Train.
No, it's not Super Train. It is a bus. Now, I may not be right. It may not be Superbus, but it is definitively a bus.
Not a train.
Not a train. It is a bus.
Because the train's not really that much of a hook.
Because I looked it up. I looked up the picture to show my nephew.
And it
was all colored, and it's if only we had a contraption with which
only we had some type of device in our pockets.
I'm telling you, it was amazing. It's not Superbus. It's not Super Train. It's Superbus. It sounds like a predecessor to Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Snowpiercer is something like totally left, and the movie Snowpiercer was great. I never really got into the TV show.
Yeah,
the movie Snowpiercer was great, but
I mean,
Superbus was nothing like this. It was dumb. It was silly.
Is it the Big Bus?
The Big Bus. That's it. The Big Bus.
Now this says it is a comedy.
Yes, it was a film. It was a TV film. I don't think it was an actual. I don't think it was a like.
No. This is a film. So maybe that's not what you're thinking about.
No, it's the Big Bus. Let me see it. That's it. That's the Big Bus.
Well, then that wasn't on TV. This was.
Then maybe I saw it on TV.
Maybe you saw it on TV, which
that was in the movies.
Yeah.
Did I see it in the movies? I could have. Because I really could have seen it.
Distributed by Paramount. Came out in '76.
I could have seen that in the movies. I was 9 years old. I could have seen it in the movies.
Yeah, okay.
My older sister probably took me to see that.
Yeah.
I probably did see it in the movie.
It follows a maiden voyage, a maiden cross-country trip of an enormous nuclear-powered bus named Cyclops.
Yes. I so wanted to ride the Cyclops.
You wanted to ride
that sounded
Cyclops. Well, there you go. There you go. So you were telling your nephew about Superbus.
That's it.
And he was just shaking his
head. He was just shaking his head.
It's a shame when old people get old start. Like you don't know, but your nephew's had sidebars with your sisters.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's true.
I have concerns about Uncle Lynn.
Oh boy, you do not know how close you are to. Were you at my house this weekend? Jesus. Wait a minute. I started off saying that I had watched something recently that was interesting. Oh, because you're a bit of a hip hop head.
A bit.
Have you heard of this show? I'm pretty sure it's an FX show called Dave.
Yes.
About like this Jewish guy.
Yeah.
A rapper.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Have you watched it?
No, because everyone has told me it's a low rent in Atlanta.
Yeah, you know what? I've only watched like maybe an episode and a half of it.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely does have some Atlanta vibes about it. It's reasonably amusing, but
You're not selling it.
well, no, because to me, I would never promote it.
Okay.
Because there was something off-putting to me about this Jewish guy being a rapper.
Right. But I think he's actually a rapper.
I think he is actually a rapper. There's something about it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But what I wanted to say is that in watching that, the person I was watching it with then started telling me about there's some guy who goes on YouTube.
Okay.
And he's actually been on Jennifer Hudson's show.
Okay.
Who is a white guy.
Okay.
Who his big shtick is you could just give him any word.
Okay.
And he'll turn it into a rap lyric.
Okay.
And he just freestyles, improvs it.
Exciting.
I'm like, I'm not buying into this BS.
Okay.
Because unlike Dave, that dude, this YouTube guy who thankfully I can't remember his name, sounds like he's totally like appropriating rap. Like he doesn't sound like he has any connection to the history of rap.
Okay.
Doesn't try and give any honor to those who came before, but on a basic level. It's like, yeah, I listen to Nas, I listen to Jay-Z, but they ain't really like no student of it.
Okay.
And his raps aren't even all that. He's like mad weak and corny.
Okay. Boy, this is now the second line of conversation where you sounded like an old man.
Why does that make me sound like an old man?
Look, man.
That sounds like somebody that respects hip hop.
I think the history of music is that old dudes always hate young stuff.
But I don't always hate young stuff. I love young stuff.
Yeah, well, this ain't for you. Just for the kids. This sounds like it's for the kids. And I hate the stuff for the kids. But it's for the kids.
Well, I don't like it.
Look, man.
I like Dave, but I don't like this YouTube guy.
It's not for you.
I don't like this.
He a guy on YouTube doing some stuff. It's all right.
Farrell Blackwell says, brother's been freestyling at the gas station for years. Why, when this kid do it on a boardwalk, he's getting all the social media and TV love? It sounds like they may have shouted out his name in the chat.
Black Thought has had 2 solo albums in the past year. One with El Michaels Affair and one with Danger Mouse. Nas's album, King's Disease, I have not stopped listening to it for like 8 months. You ain't got to deal with these young people.
Okay. Fair enough.
Ignore them. Let them do whatever it is they do over there.
Okay.
It's all right. I know.
It bothered me.
I know, but look, you gotta be more zen about it.
I tried to be.
Let the kids have a little thing.
I'll let them have it.
They TikTok and whatever it is they do.
Yeah, I'm not going on TikTok.
Right, so
the Micheaux Mission will not be on TikTok.
The Micheaux Mission does that?
No, I think we actually are on TikTok.
I didn't want to say anything.
I think I think Toya put us on.
I was about to say, don't say. I would like me, like I was like hopefully like just give him his Ovaltine and let him go in.
We'll edit that part.
Right. So anything else? We got any missives from the missionaries? Any thises, any thatses, any?
Oh, you know what? I actually don't believe that we have any emails.
All right.
We don't have any emails. So with that, I guess it's
get into our
soldier on and good into the top 5.
Soldier on, because we got Solo waiting for us. We got Solo waiting for us.
Yes.
1996 Mario Van Peebles is oiled up. He oiled up.
Okay, save it.
Okay.
Save it. Let's get into the top 5, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't think we have an email, so I just want to double check. I'm pretty sure we don't. Nope. Cool. Top 5, where I come up with a list and Vincent gives me his thoughts on it. And usually the list is tied into the movie that we're reviewing.
Yes, we keep it thematic.
We try to.
We try to keep it thematic.
And we are this week.
We're keeping it thematic.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Because we last week reviewed Expect No Mercy.
Yes.
With Billy Blanks.
Billy Blanks. Which shout out, and forgive me, I forgot what missionary posted it, but someone posted on our Facebook group a picture of Billy Blanks Jr.'s dance party.
Yes.
With Sharon Brown.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We did that last week.
Yes, we did.
This week we are going to Solo.
Solo.
With Mary Van Peeples.
Mary Van Peeples.
Now this is 2 back-to-back hardcore black action movies.
Yes.
From the 90s.
Yes, they are.
So today I present to you the top 5 least black action heroes.
Least black action heroes
of the 90s.
Of the 90s. There's 5 of them from the 90s.
These are 90s black action films where the action star maybe is not
the most action ready.
It's not ready for
all
prime
right.
time.
Who we got?
Starting with number 5.
As one does.
And this is a little controversial, this one.
All right, here we go.
From 1996, it's the buddy cop action film, The Glimmer Man, which starred Steven Seagal alongside Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Yes. Yes.
Keenan Ivory Wayans getting his tough guy role.
Absolutely. And we will be bringing him up later this evening, I think.
Seagal plays Lieutenant Jack Cole, a former government intelligence agent known as the Glimmer Man.
Yes, yes.
Who now works as a detective in the Los Angeles Police Department, where Keenan Ivory Wayans plays his partner.
What's his name? Let's hear it.
Jim Campbell.
Jim Campbell. Jim Campbell.
Yeah.
Okay, you win.
I think they got the names mixed.
You win this round, 90s white screenwriter.
Now, to be fair, this movie, when it debuted in October of 1996, it debuted at number 2 at the box office behind The First Wives Club.
Okay.
However, it was overall a box office flop because it only grossed $20 million off of a $45 million budget.
Okay.
It received negative reviews. Lawrence Van Gelder of the New York Times wrote that it was short on suspense, routine in its action, monotonous in its performances. It opened yesterday without benefit of press screenings, usually a sign that distributors have detected cinematic rigor mortis.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I did not know Keenan Ivory Wayans was in it.
You didn't... Have you seen
I've never seen The Glimmer Man. I knew what it was. I knew it was Steven Seagal. And as I'm on record as saying, Steven Seagal, I never for one moment signed up for Steven Seagal.
You never saw any Steven Seagal?
Not on purpose.
Not even an executive decision?
Not on purpose.
The one where he's
right. And Harrison Ford, get off my plane.
No, it's not Harrison Ford. Executive decision is the one where
who's the president? I don't care.
I can't remember who's the president.
Yeah, I don't care.
But it's basically it's Steven Seagal and Kurt Russell.
Right.
And Steven Seagal dies in the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Well.
All right. But all right. I'll take your word for it.
Okay. All right. That's number 5.
All right.
Number 4. This is a movie that we have reviewed here on the Micheaux Mission.
Okay, and that would be?
This is from 1997. The superhero film Steel.
Steel.
Which stars Shaquille O'Neal. John Henry Irons, also a.k.a. Steel.
Yes.
Loosely based on a DC Comics character of the same name.
Very loosely.
In the film written and directed by Kenneth Johnson. That made Oh boy. On a budget of $16 million.
You said 16 or 60?
16.
16 million. It made how much?
It made $1.7 million.
Yeah, Steel is terrible.
It's a terrible movie.
Steel is terrible. Although it does have the conceit that 7'2" tall, 300-pound Shaquille O'Neal had a secret identity.
Mild-mannered John Henry Irons.
There seems to be some danger. I'm going to go get help. And then a mysterious 7-foot tall, 300-pound masked man appears. Who could it be?
If only he didn't have on steel. Then I might know who this walking tank is.
Who this walking tank is. Also, early Ray J.
That's very true.
Which I think one should keep track of. You should always know where Ray J is.
You know what? That's true. We should put a tracker on Ray J.
You should always know where Raymond Jonathan Norwood is.
Every phone GPS should show where you are
in relationship to Ray J. It could actually be a term of measurement. I'm 9 Ray J's away. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
You know how you see the little dot? It's just his.
It's just Ray J's. It's just Ray J's. It's true. It's true.
Okay.
All right.
Number 3. Moving right along.
Yeah.
This is another buddy cop film. This one from 1999.
Okay.
Chill Factor.
Who's this?
Chill Factor. The film centers on 2 unwitting civilians.
Okay.
Who are forced to protect a deadly chemical weapon from hands of a group of mercenaries planning to sell the weapon to the highest bidder.
Okay.
The 2 unwitting civilians are portrayed by Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh my God.
And Skeet Ulrich.
Oh, jeez.
In a film that, according to Rotten Tomato, fails on every level.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. You boy. I guess Cuba Gooding thought he could be like a...
You know what? Cuba Gooding Jr. has the most bizarre career.
He does.
I don't know.
He makes some really...
I don't know if he has an agent or he just has like a puppy that goes and like pulls note cards out of a box. And then Cuba Gooding, he says, well, I guess this is the next movie I'm gonna make.
Maybe he puts his puppy like on a Ouija board and
right.
moves him around.
Right. Oh, well, I guess I'm making radio. That's what the dog said.
Well,
what was the movie where he was a diver?
That was the movie with Robert De Niro.
Right.
I can't remember that movie.
Right.
But well, first of all, that movie,
Robert De Niro paid for his 3rd villa.
Right, but if you got an opportunity, you say like there's a movie Robert De Niro signed up for it.
Right.
I'm not going to knock you so bad for you signed on for it.
Yeah, but it's
not like it was Bullwinkle.
It's sort of like the Groucho Marx thing. Like any club that would have me as a member, I don't want to be a part of. Like Cuba, any movie that Robert De Niro is in that he gonna let you in, it's probably not a good movie.
Okay, but to your point, Robert De Niro was probably just paying off his villa and didn't care who.
His 3rd villa.
he didn't care who it was. He's
All
like,
right.
oh, me and Todd Bridges? Works.
Okay. Yeah, I never even heard of this movie.
I have heard of it.
Okay.
And we'll get to it.
Okay.
Somewhere along the line.
All right.
On the mission.
All right.
Number 2. We return to the filmography of one Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Yeah.
In 1997, he does an action thriller called Most Wanted.
Yeah.
You know of this movie?
I do.
I've never heard of this movie.
I do. Again, at the risk of leaning into our review, I feel like Keenan Ivory Wayans and Mario Van Peebles had the same problem in the 90s. And it was a great problem. Like, if you're going to have a problem, this is a great problem. He was a tall, good-looking guy. And everyone kept thinking, this seems to be someone who should be in front of the camera.
Right.
Like, you look like you should be in front of the camera. And then they will put him in front of the camera, and he just was not good at it.
No.
So, yeah, I'm low-key fascinated by Keenan Ivory Wayans' action star.
Well, this too will be coming up on the mission sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a May near you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen. The number one, however.
Number one.
Because this one I didn't know about.
Okay.
And I have to see this.
Okay, all right.
This may be coming up this summer.
Let's hear it. What is it?
From 1991.
1991.
An American science fiction action film.
All right.
Eve of Destruction.
Eve of Destruction.
Have you ever heard of this film?
I don't think so, but that's one of those innocuous 90s names that could have been about anything.
The film is about a nuclear-armed prototype android named Eve.
Okay.
Gone amok while being tested by the military in a big city.
Okay.
Eve is played by Dutch actress Renee Seltjig.
Okay, of course.
In her first United States film, in the dual roles of the robot's creator, Dr. Eve Simmons, and the robot Eve herself.
All right, get 2 checks.
Of course. The film stars in the role of Colonel Jim McQuaid, who was tasked with eliminating this unstoppable machine.
Okay.
Gregory Hines.
Gregory Hines. Interesting.
Capman himself.
I mean, everything man. Interesting,
right? Now, you got to think, I believe this is 1991, so that puts this just after, what's the movie he did with Billy Crystal?
Not Midnight Run, Running Scared.
So that puts this right after Running Scared.
Which is
a good movie. But it makes sense that if he's doing this after that somebody thinks, okay, maybe we can plug him into like an action thing. Because that's kind of like an action comedy.
Yeah.
Right? This movie received negative reviews from critics. A 20% rotten score on Rotten Tomatoes. And the New York Times calls it an undistinguished, barely functional action melodrama, which on a budget of $13 million, grossed $5 million, making it decidedly a box office bomb.
Okay.
But you talk of all these movies, that's the one that fascinates me.
Look, man, Gregory Hines gets me in my seat. Like Gregory Hines is a deal maker. There are deal breakers, like Steven Seagal, for me. But Gregory Hines is a deal maker, especially since, unfortunately he's passed.
Yeah.
So we don't have, like, what we have is what we have. Right. With Gregory Hines.
Your brother Damon,
yes,
in the chat points out that Philly rapper Eve,
yes,
was actually originally the Eve of Destruction. I think it's that in the liner notes of the Roots album.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, that's the Eve of Destruction that I adhere to.
Right.
Certainly.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's the top 5. I mean, and trust me, there's more than a few other movies that I could have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could have pulled anything with Dennis Rodman in it. What was the Double Team? The movie with him and Jean-Claude Van Damme.
That's right.
But
Boy, the 80s and 90s were wild.
But that was a hit, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't pull it, you know. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting little list there.
We'll talk about it. It's an interesting period.
It is. All right.
All right.
Let's get into the Game of Kings, ladies and gentlemen.
Kings, the game of action star with real action star.
Yes, real action star.
Surprised what a person can do with just a sense of touch and a sense of sound.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen, where I give Vincent an actor and he tries to connect them in 6 movies or less to that 70s one-man big bus himself.
That's right.
D'Urville Martin.
One-man army.
Keeping in tune with the theme of the show, I have 2 huge 90s action stars for you.
90s action stars to get to D'Urville Martin.
Yes.
All right.
So 6 movies or less.
6 movies or less.
Get from D'Urville Martin.
D'Urville Martin.
2.
2.
We just spoke of him.
Who?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. 2.
D'Urville Martin.
D'Urville Martin. Okay, well, this is how we're going to do that. D'Urville Martin is in I know the direction I'm going to go. I'm just trying to figure out how to get to it. D'Urville Martin is in D'Urville Martin. Okay. D'Urville Martin is in Hell Up in Harlem with Fred Williamson, who is in Three the Hard Way with Jim Kelly, who's in Enter the Dragon with Bolo.
Oh.
Who's in, and you'll forgive me because all of these run together. It's either Bloodsport or Kickboxer.
I think Bolo's in Bloodsport.
I think you're right. Who's in Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
There you go. All right, Vincent. Very good. Very good. Let me just look up Bloodsport just before somebody else looks up Bloodsport. I got to look it up over here because of Wi-Fi connectivity. Bloodsport. Now, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's someone I never really signed on to.
I like Jean-Claude.
I've maybe seen 2 Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. And one of them was Time Cop. Didn't he do Time Cop?
Time Cop, a surprisingly solid film.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Time Cop is not bad.
Bolo's not. Bolo is not in Bloodsport.
What's he in?
Let's see. You know what? Let me just look up Bolo. Bolo, is that him? Yeah, that's him. Wow. How old do you think Bolo is?
Oh my goodness, Bolo's got to be in his 70s at this point.
Yeah, 76.
Yeah.
76 years old. Jeez. Bolo was in. Oh, he is in Bloodsport. They didn't have him listed when I looked. Where I looked, he is in Bloodsport.
I thought he was in Bloodsport.
I thought it was. I thought he was too. So I was surprised. All right, yeah. All right. All right. Next.
Very
good, Vincent.
All right.
In 6 movies or less, get from D'Urville Martin to
D'Urville Martin 2.
Mel Gibson.
Oh, Mel Gibson. Yeah. You definitely get to Mel Gibson. Because D'Urville Martin. D'Urville Martin is in the final come down with Billy D. Williams, who is, of course, in Bingo Long and his Traveling All-Stars with Richard Pryor, who is in Which Way Is Up with Margaret Avery, who, of course, is in The Color Purple with Danny Glover, who co-starred in my favorite series of Mel Gibson films, take your pick, Lethal Weapons 1 through 4.
Very good, Vincent. Very, very good. I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm proud of you. You could have gotten to Mel Gibson a little easier. And you could have gotten to John Claude Van Damme a little easier.
How so?
If you had just used the Expendables movies.
I've never seen an Expendables movie.
You've never seen one of the Expendables
never
movies?
seen
I mean, you're missing nothing.
I've never seen
But
it. Yeah. Like, I appreciate the hook. And I appreciate, but yeah, I've never seen an Expendables movie.
There's only one reason to see any Expendables. First of all, you could have connected to him because Wesley Snipes is in all three.
Sure.
And I think John Claude Van Damme, is in 2. Mel Gibson is in 3.
I did not know Wesley Snipes was in all of them.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
I'm pretty sure he's in. No, he's not in the first one. He's in the
Okay.
second. He's in the 2 and 3.
Okay.
Yeah. The only reason the only one worth watching is 2, and Wesley Snipes is having fun in there.
Sure, of course.
But the person who was having a ball in those movies and is worth watching is Antonio Banderas.
Nice.
Antonio Banderas is having such a good time. He is so much fun in Expendables 2. I don't know if he's in Expendables 3 because I watched Expendables 2 was enough for me.
You were finished.
I was finished. But he is having so much fun in that movie. Like
Okay.
every time he shows up on screen, he's just having a ball.
Right.
And I think if I remember, he has some scenes with Wesley Snipes too, and the two of them
the
are
two
like
of them are having-
vibing
yeah.
off. It's a absolute delight.
Okay. All right.
All right. Well done, Vincent.
All right.
Okay.
Keep the action.
All right. Well, we've stalled long enough. It is now time for us to review Solo.
You gonna flow right in, huh?
Hey.
You ready to jump right in?
Hey.
All right.
Hey, they already got bonus material at the top of the show.
And I've lost all where I was on. I'm so busy looking up Smokey Robinson hits.
I forgot. Yeah,
Right?
we have a show. I think
We have a show before the show.
We put on a show just for Dylan
Yeah.
before the cameras even roll.
All right. Ready?
I have to be.
Solo, a 1996 sci-fi action adventure. Android military weapon Solo, played by Mario Van Peeples, is designed to put down Latin American rebels. But when Solo arrives, the machine feels compassion, and despite his design, he begins fighting for the people he's supposed to kill. Starring 90s film stalwarts William Sadler and Barry Corbin.
Yeah.
A very young Adrian Brody, who
Yeah.
probably doesn't talk about this anymore.
No.
And in the starring role, Mario Van Peebles as Solo. Solo, based on the novel Weapon by Robert Mason, and a screenplay by David Corley, directed by Norberto Barba. Solo was the choice of Lynn Webb here, our second week of May, or as we call it, May I Have Another One of Those Bad Black Movies. Lynn! Solo!
Yeah, Solo. Despite the title, couldn't do it all by itself.
Okay.
No. Solo had to take little pieces of a whole lot of other stuff.
Yes. Yes.
You opened it up the show saying how this was basically what if the Terminator and Rambo had a baby. Thus, you would have Mario Van Peebles Solo.
Yes.
I contend that it was indeed an orgy that was going on.
Okay. All right.
Because not only was the Terminator getting it on with Rambo,
Yes.
he found time to have a tete-a-tete with the Magnificent Seven.
Okay.
In here, he dipped into the bathroom with Predator. He touched every trope you can find in action movies. Like he even had some time to make a Deliverance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's a touch of every other good film that has a setting that even resembles something that's going on in this movie.
Yeah.
They gripped from it.
Yeah.
Into this film, right? But definitely the whole Terminator vibes is what comes off. Mario Van Peebles as this android Solo who is now dealing with conflicts and his feelings.
Sure.
Perhaps wanting to be a man.
Yeah.
The movie shows you how he learns how to tell a joke, or at least learns what a joke is.
Yes.
From his creator, which is the you just said his name.
Played by Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody. Young Adrian Brody. It's like this movie wants so badly to be something else. It wants to be great.
Yes.
The proof that this movie wants to be great is that in the creation of Solo, Adrian Brody asked his unfaced android, it's time to pick a face for you. Who do you want to be?
Yes.
And the android, after having a couple of generic white faces presented to it, sees on the television a commercial that was ubiquitous in the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it was a commercial that we all know.
Right.
Because this commercial was Be Like Mike.
Be Like Mike.
Featuring Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Prominently displayed in this movie.
Is. Yeah.
I'm willing to bet he does not know that he is prominently displayed in this movie.
That is a bet I'd take because you don't use Michael Jordan's face without Michael Jordan's permission.
You know what? I bet in 1996 they got away with it. I'm just guessing. But seeing that commercial, the android says, "I want to be like Mike."
I want to be like Mike.
And thus, Adrian Brody creates a face for him
Right.
that unfortunately does not look like Mike.
Right.
It looks like Mario Van Peebles.
Right.
And in looking like Mario Van Peebles, not only has Adrian Brody's character failed to create this android in the visage of one Michael Jordan, he also failed to give this android any of the charisma.
Yes.
Any of the presence.
Yes.
Any of the skill or talent of Michael Jordan.
Right. Right.
Which is not surprising because none of those accolades have ever been displayed in front of the camera by one Mario Van Peebles.
It's true. Let the record speak for itself.
When you can count in your filmography that your portrayal of John Hood in rapping is higher up on the acting scale than your work in Solo, it's time for you to call it a career, bro.
Yeah.
Mario Van Peebles is called on to be an android, a stiff android, but that one that is having conflicting feelings with his circuitry.
Sure. Develops a conscience.
We think he develops a conscience. To me, it looks like he just developed a limp. Because he just is limping all over, all broke up all over the place as he's dealing with his power pack running down. His face never changes the entire movie. He does not give off any type of charisma. His line readings, while I know they're supposed to be flat, they are flat line. There's nothing that even when he is supposed to evoke a little bit of emotion, he doesn't. He just does not have any weight upon which to put a film on top of, right? When you think about the best of Mario Van Peebles, it is always in an ensemble, and even then in the ensembles, and I'm thinking about New Jack City, I'm thinking about Posse.
Yeah.
Even in those ensembles, he is always the least interesting person.
That is 100%
on the screen.
Yes.
You give him a defense a little bit in perhaps Posse and New Jack City because he's directing those films, so maybe his attention is split. But here he's got no excuse. You know, all you've got to do is just be the big action guy.
Yeah.
Right? You talk about he's a big, good looking dude. Mario Van Peebles is a very good looking guy, and he has the physique to pull it off. There's no shame in him having his shirt off. But he does not carry anything in this movie. He just can't get it across the finish line. And you talk about Adrian Brody, who is an actor who has grown into prominence, but here he's young. He's still feeling feeling his way around. Trusted character actors in William Sadler and Barry Corbin.
Absolutely.
And they are giving you exactly what you expect from them. William Sadler he's got his menace on. Barry Corbin's got his government lackey on.
Oh yeah.
Like he's giving it, they're giving it, right? But, and everybody else in the film is basically, you know, bargain store Latino.
It's a
Latin.
Hispanic acting troupe.
Right.
That worked all through the 80s and 90s.
They went from movie to film.
The Villagers.
The Villagers and the Desperados.
Yes. Right.
So you've got them. So that means that everything else is supposed to hang on Mario Van Peebles or the action and the special effects.
Yes.
The special effects in this 1996 movie look like they're from 1976.
Yeah.
It literally looks like Pong on the screen. The action, Mario Van Peebles, who does most of the action as this android, is slower than a slug.
Yeah.
Cannot throw a punch.
Yeah.
Cannot throw a kick. Cannot even run convincingly.
No.
He is horrible. And this is in the days before there was really like hardcore choreography in these type of films. But there still was, you throw a punch, you shoot a gun.
Look, this is after Judgment Day.
You're right.
So there's no excuse.
You're absolutely right.
There is no excuse.
I forgot this
is after Judgment Day.
This is after Judgment Day, isn't it? Yeah. Then there's no excuse.
No.
And it's. I would say it's a shame, but I don't know how anyone would have gone into this movie expecting any less. It is just it is a fail in every single way.
Overall, I 100% agree with you. I will now say the couple of things that made me go, okay. I actually think the Michael Jordan bit is a solid plot detail.
Really?
Why am I building this android soldier, why would I give him a black face? Because it seems like the default face, frankly, would be a white man.
Okay.
And I thought this was a solid reason. You know, he sees the Michael Jordan commercial, which, as you said, in the 90s is completely realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like the rest of America. I want to be like Mike. Didn't mind that. Actually said, okay.
Okay.
I like the plot point that his self-preservation is what kind of kicks it off. Because he has his conscience, he has this crisis of conscience. He doesn't follow his orders. The military says basically disassemble him, wipe his memory. But part of his programming is self-preservation, so he runs. And I said, okay, all right, fine. All right, I'll go along with that as a plot point. That's pretty much the two things. Look, we watch these movies. Some things you like, some things you don't like. I like to accentuate the positive when I can. I'm now through with the positive.
Okay.
As I mentioned, I have a degree of sympathy for Hollywood executives during this period who kept saying, like I said before we started, Mario Van Peebles, like Keenan Ivory Wayans, like you said, you understand the instinct to put them in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. Good-looking guys, put them in front of the camera. I understand the instinct. I also sympathize with Hollywood during this period that much like they fumbled and flailed around with Eddie Murphy, could not quite put their finger on what makes Arnold Schwarzenegger Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I think it is easy to look at Terminator. Certainly Terminator, and to a certain degree Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and say he's a big stiff guy. Well, hell, how hard could it be to get a big stiff guy and have him do big stiff guy stuff? And you have this. Kurt Russell had a version of this with Soldier.
Soldier, yeah.
I think Jean-Claude Van Damme has a version of this movie
really?
where we take these dudes, they real stiff, and say they stiff because they're robots.
Okay.
Because Terminator was a robot. But the story in Terminator and Terminator 2, these are good stories.
First and
like
foremost.
Just the actual plot of Terminator.
The world building of it all.
Like Terminator is a great story, first of all. B, Arnold Schwarzenegger actually has that it factor.
He does.
Like, you completely understand why Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, whether we're talking about Conan, like, I'm talking early Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's the perfect one right there, Conan.
Like something about this guy pulls you in. But no one is this guy but this guy. So everyone else that tries to be this guy, you get diminishing returns or terrible returns.
Right.
I think this is to say that this is a by the numbers story is giving by the numbers an insult. Yeah. Like, this is an embarrassing plot.
Yes, it is.
This is an embarrassing.
It almost feels like they're making it up as they go along.
It feels like they're making it up as they go along. There's no way in 1996, because in a lot of ways it feels like a knockoff 1980s film.
It does, right?
Like, I kept thinking, well, this must be a typo. This can't be 96.
Or was this held over?
Right,
or something
this must
like that,
be from
right?
87 or something. Like, how's this 96?
Because it doesn't even look 96.
It doesn't look 96.
It looks so cheap.
It looks cheap, and not to, keep kicking this dog. It's boring because the direction is so lackluster.
Yes.
The scenes go so long. Like I kept I was actually by the end fascinated by how long some of the scenes are. Like he's a robot, and of course, again, they bring in the troupe of Hispanic actors to play the villagers, and of course, one of them is a little boy.
Of course.
There were scenes with him and the little boy where I think the director went and used the bathroom or something and just forgot to say cut. Like, I cannot believe how long some of the scenes were. So that in my mind, and I've said this before, God knows I always have a soft spot for a bad movie. Like even last week in show notes, I said, I have a soft spot for a bad movie. You know what I don't like? A boring movie.
Yeah.
Like this film felt like almost a tax write-off. Like there's no energy.
Wow. There's
no real passion for it. I saw an interview of Mario Van Peebles where he said, he took the role because he thought it might be
a stretch for him.
A stretch form and sort of this emotionally nuanced character. And I was like, maybe the script was different that he read? Because, the whole conceit of him learning jokes and then he has this weird laugh where he learns how to laugh and...
But even if he read...
It's almost like someone... you know what it is? I just figured out what it is. What? It's like we talk about or at least one of my running jokes. Sammy Davis Jr. singing the theme of Shaft, but he changes the words and he sounds like he didn't see Shaft. Like someone told him about Shaft.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like someone told a scriptwriter about Commando and
Terminator and Rambo.
And then he went and wrote something up.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I'm not even gonna say it's a waste. It's just...
Oh, it's a waste.
Well, a waste implies that you could have taken these same ingredients and come up with something better. I don't know if these ingredients you could have come up with something better.
Okay, well that's fair. Because you would have had to get rid of your main ingredient,
right?
Which would have been Mario.
Because I 100% agree with you. I think Mario Van Peebles as an actor just is not there. In the films that even in Posse, like we talked about, I was talking to my wife earlier about Posse and kind of defending Posse, where I said, the worst part about Posse is the main character.
Right.
Like you take him out,
mm-hmm.
and you've got like this band of outlaws. You've got Blair Underwood is like this black robber baron, and like you got something kind of popping with Posse. As you rightly pointed out, he has maybe 3 scenes in New Jack City.
Yeah.
And they're not bad scenes because it's 3 scenes.
Exactly.
And then he gets out of the way.
Gets out of the way.
So, it's
yeah.
It was a dirge.
It was.
It was a dirge, and it's only an hour and a half.
I know. It's not long. It just seems so long. And it's just so boring and... Yeah.
You forgot Empire Strikes Back that they pull from. Like that whole, let's make the weapons to kill the soldiers that come in.
Oh,
like
that's right.
Like it was just like the Ewoks versus the Empire, but without the cannibalism.
That's right.
I guess it's not cannibalism because the Ewoks weren't eating each other.
No, yeah.
They were eating the Empire soldiers.
Yeah.
So
wait a minute, the Ewoks were eating the Empire soldiers.
You don't remember they had the one soldier they had him over the fire.
Oh yeah, but I don't think they were.
Oh, the Ewoks were totally.
I don't think they were going to.
The Ewoks were totally going to eat that soldier.
I don't think they were going to eat him.
You pull up the scene and tell me what were they doing with him.
I think they were making a broth.
So the soldiers were like Baileys.
Yeah, that's all.
They were like Baileys.
That's all. They're just getting the sweat.
Just getting
the drippings.
They were making a broth.
Yeah.
Making a broth.
That's all.
Interesting.
They had ramen.
They just wanted to taste. They just wanted to taste.
The taste of man.
Taste this. And they were actually going to eat them. I don't know if that's better.
Because then they just throw them away.
I don't know if that's better.
Just throw them away.
Wasting all that good meat. And then, because again, I'm always open to a bad film that's just embraces its badness. They set it up. You know, there's going to be an evil robot. Like, you know, it's going to be an evil. Yes. So I kept waiting for the evil doppelganger. And like, I wanted the evil one to be like Mario Van Peebles with like an eye patch or something.
Yeah, I thought that, exactly. You thought it was going to be Mario Van Peebles, right? But here's where the producers they got smart. They realized, it's time for us to bring in the evil doppelganger. Oh, we've been looking at Mario's dailies. He's not really bringing it as one robot.
Right.
Hey, William Sadler.
Hey, William Sadler. Look, because William Sadler gonna give it to you.
He gonna give it
to you. I'm a soldier mercenary in the 90s. I can be real sweaty. I can put that little camouflage on.
And
I got my hair cut.
You know, the funny thing is, though, before I watched that, I had just watched William Sadler. He's in Armageddon.
Playing like a military guy?
No, in Armageddon, he plays one of like Bruce Willis's boys. Like, he's a good guy there.
Okay.
So it was weird to see him but he's basically the same like sidekick type of guy,
yeah.
But he's just on the side of the angels.
Yeah.
And then here he's got the war paint on.
He's cracking his neck because he's evil. You know the other thing about William Sadler's character, and when they did make their android out of him, he was actually right all along.
When he said what?
He ain't like this whole android warrior thing because it was
that's
disrespectful to the fighting men.
Yes.
And I think in his heart he knew that they were going to use them to replace real soldiers.
And then lo and behold, they made one in his image.
And then when he came and he killed the real William Sadler, I actually said, this 30 seconds is the most interesting this film has been.
This is the movie.
Like this right here, this sort of moral debate.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I could have watched.
The debate's a little strong.
I mean,
it's 10 seconds in the movie.
Look, at this point, I have watched Mario Van Peebles playing with the little Hispanic boy for, I believe, 6 months.
I can't believe that at this point, we have seen, we've probably seen more Mario Van Peebles movies than a whole lot of the other actors on this mission so far.
Yeah,
I think we've seen what? Maybe this is our fourth Mario Van Peebles movie. This is our fourth
Mario Van Peebles movie.
I don't think we've seen 4 Martin Lawrence movies yet. I don't think we've seen 2 Martin Lawrence movies yet. Like one of his solo joints. Well,
definitely not. Yeah, definitely not his solo joint.
And he's got like a whole
right. Yeah, because it's really just Bad Boys and Thin Line Between Love and Hate
and Life.
Yeah.
But we've got 4 Mario Van Peebles. Well, you know
what?
Well,
at least 2 of them have been in May. I think we did rap. I think we did rapping in May too.
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah. This is because he's got a month all to himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so ask me the question.
Ask you the question. Would you recommend Solo? It's such a weird...
Hell no!
It's such a weird question in May.
No.
It's such a weird question.
No, it's not a weird question, because there have been some that we have reluctantly said,
True.
Hey, you could watch like if at the cookout.
True.
Or it's a curiosity piece. True. Or something like that.
I actually said that about Expect No Mercy. I did.
I wasn't gonna.
I did.
I wasn't gonna do that to you.
I did. Look, I stand by my reviews.
Okay, well.
I would not recommend Solo.
No.
I would not recommend Solo. It's funny you were talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I always feel like who do you think was more popular between Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal?
More popular?
More successful, more successful, more.
I think Jean-Claude Van Damme was a
Do you?
Okay.
Because Steven Seagal was in movies, he was in movies.
Well, Steve,
Executive Decision and
Jean-Claude Van Damme was in movies.
Did he ever do anything bigger than Time Cop?
I think that Jean-Claude Van Damme was. I think the world would consider him more successful. If you wanted to look at their movies, maybe especially also based on budgets, which was more.
Yeah, I feel like Steven
more
Seagal
successful.
was more of a studio guy.
He may have been more successful based on his movies didn't have a super large budget. So then if it's only $6 million and it makes $30-40 million and it's a huge success. I think that Jean-Claude Van Damme's movies, I think they actually probably had a little bit more of a budget because he's a better fighter than Steven Seagal, which meant that he had to be fighting people that were closer to his level in his movies. I want to say that Jean-Claude Van Damme. Well, I think it's obvious that overall he had the better career, the one that's looked on at least with more prominence than Steven Seagal.
I think his aged better than Steven Seagal's career,
and I also think that Steven Seagal quickly becomes persona non grata in Hollywood, and people are like,
right. But that was after the '90s. I think he did. I think he was all through. I think all through the '90s he did his thing.
I don't know.
I always think of Jean-Claude Van Damme as someone who never quite cracked that Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone action hero.
Well, nobody cracked that.
Well, I think Steven Seagal came closer than Jean-Claude. Jean-Claude Van Damme, I always thought was really the top of that kind of genre food chain, but never really crossed over into pop.
I don't know. I'm looking at his movies right now. He became a popular action film star with Cyborg in '89, Kickboxer.
Right, and that's his version of this, Cyborg.
Lionheart.
I don't even remember that.
Death Warrant, Double Impact, Universal Soldier, Nowhere to Run,
Universal Soldier
Hard Target, Time Cop, Street Fighter, Sudden Death, The Quest, and then
What was Bloodsport?
Maximum Risk. Bloodsport was '88. That's the movie that kicked him off. So I think he did. Those are all hugely successful films for the most part. Now let's go to what's the man's name? Steven Seagal. Because I think Steven Seagal quickly becomes out of favor, actually.
Yeah, I think that's been in the past 15 years with Steven Seagal. I think the 90s he was doing his thing. Let's
see, Vincent. We're going to Steven Seagal. I've got him up, his filmography. He starts things off in Above the Law in '88. So they start around the same time. Then he has Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Out for Justice, Under Siege, which I think is actually that may be the movie I was thinking about. Yeah. No, that's not the movie I was thinking about.
No, Under Siege was a big movie.
Yeah, it was a big movie. On Deadly Ground,
that
Under Siege 2.
Yeah, the siegening.
Dark Territory, to get correct. Executive Decision.
Yeah, come on. Under Siege and Executive Decision were bigger than anything that Jean-Claude Van Damme was in.
And then The Glimmer Man. I think the Glimmer Man is when the plume comes off the rose.
What's after Glimmer Man?
After Glimmer Man, he's got Fire Down Below, which it's horrible. My Giant, The Patriot, Prince of Central Park, Exit Wounds, which is garbage. and then it's that's when he starts doing a whole bunch of dumb stuff. Exit Wounds, Half Past. I mean, he's doing movies.
Yeah.
And he's in. So yes, is he doing? Does he? Is his career longer? Yes. And I had forgotten about how successful Under Siege was. That was successful. Executive Decision was a big movie.
Right, but he's not.
He's in 15 minutes of it.
Yeah.
It's a Kurt Russell movie.
Yeah. I really like Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I always thought he had charisma. Now, apparently, a lot of that charisma in them early movies is he was coked out of his mind.
Yes.
You know, he was initially supposed to play Predator. He was supposed to be the Predator.
Really? I didn't
That
know
was him under the outfit initially,
Really?
and then some stuff happened.
Why would they want him as the Predator? It's not like the Predator was doing any type
I
of
mean, it was early
fighting.
I mean, I'm sure he would have if it.
I guess if he was going to
if
be
he
it,
was
then
gonna-
it probably
yeah.
would have.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a totally different movie.
Yeah.
So that would have been him against Arnold.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been interesting.
And I also don't think we give enough credit. Speaking of Predator, because like whether we're talking about Predator, we just talked about the Terminator films. You know, I would even say like even Commando and I just forgot my Mars movie.
Oh, it's what's the Mars movie? Arnold Schwarzenegger. They did the remake.
Total Recall.
Total Recall.
And The Running Man. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger picks good scripts more often than not.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Oh yeah.
You know, Last Action Hero.
Last Action Hero is a fun movie.
Right, which it wasn't the spoof that they wanted it to be, but what they came up with was still, this is good, solid stuff.
And you didn't even do what's the one with Jamie Lee Curtis?
True Lies.
True Lies.
Yeah,
which
I think
excellent.
I think appropriately enough, because we're in the midst of the writer's strike, I don't think execs who were trying to make these knockoff Arnold Schwarzenegger films gave enough credit to the scripts in the success of the Arnold Schwarzenegger films.
No, yeah, I
these
agree.
were good, solid scripts. Like we just named damn near 10 movies.
Yeah.
Where the scripts are banging.
Yeah, and I think, but what they missed the mark with the scripts, but what they were seeing was Sylvester Stallone kind of like nipping at Arnold's feet, nipping at his ankles, but his movies weren't as well written, but Sylvester Stallone had the it factor.
Right.
That got them over.
Right.
You know? And Wesley Snipes, his movies weren't necessarily as well written either.
But he's another one.
But Wesley Snipes, I think more so than the two of them, tried to do a little bit of both.
Right.
He wanted to act as well.
For all the Sylvester Stallone, his like once you leave Rambo and Rocky, which is a huge thing, like you know, like he had these two.
Yeah, he's got
these two
franchises.
iconic franchises. Mm-hmm. What do you really have with his career?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about
like what's the big non-Rocky Rambo Sylvester Stallone film that people still talk about?
Well, I would say
Over the Top, where he was a professional arm wrestler.
It's not Over the Top.
Where he was a professional arm wrestler.
It's not Over the Top.
Where he's a professional arm wrestler.
It's Cliffhanger, where he's a professional mountain like guy. That's actually a fun movie.
Is it?
When's the last time you seen it?
The first time I saw it. The only time I saw it.
It's
when
a
it came
fun
out.
movie.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, I'll take Over the Top over Cliffhanger.
Oh, no, you won't.
Oh, yes, I will.
No, you won't.
Because he's a professional arm wrestler
You won't.
who's trying to forge a relationship
with his son. Yes,
who he's divorced, and they're truck drivers.
Going to underground arm wrestling.
Underground black market arm wrestling.
You won't take that over Cliffhanger. Cliffhanger is a good movie.
I will take Over the Top over a surprising amount of films. Because he's a professional arm wrestler.
No, that's obviously with your bourbon in your hand. That's the only way you're getting through Over the Top. It's the only way you're getting through Over the Top. Oh my God! All right, let's get out of here.
You didn't ask me.
You said it. You said
Did
you
I?
wouldn't. Yes.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this.
We're not going back.
I wouldn't.
It's only forward. You didn't ask me.
Oh boy.
Before we tell you what we're going to be watching next week,
Because they had like the little joints, and like you held the thing with your left hand, and then you did this, and then there were rules. He was a professional arm wrestler.
you know, you've brought that movie up one too many times, and it finally clicked with a friend of the show, Ariel Johnson. Mm-hmm. She called me one night. She was like, "Okay, what the hell is up with Over the Top?" Because she had finally watched it. Don't do it to yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
The year was 1987.
You just gotta keep moving. Before
The
we can tell you
was so pure.
what we're watching next week here on the Micheaux Mission, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to check us out. Check out the website, themicheauxmission.com. 2 Men, 1 Podcast, every black film ever made, where you can hit swag and check out all of the cool designs we have by way of our good friends at TeePublic. You can follow the Micheaux Mission on the social media of your choice: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It don't matter. It's at Micheaux Mission. We there, baby. You can join the Facebook group and become one with the conversation with us and all of our missionaries as we have fun talking about all of the fun TV and movie news and gossip. The missionaries love gossip. that go on about the world. We get it in the Facebook group. Subscribe to the Micheaux Mission on YouTube, where our show goes on live every Tuesday night. And then we also have short videos that go out there. We just uploaded our They Should Be Legends series 1 through 5 for everyone to check out. And have good conversations are being had on those videos. We've got more videos. We're going to have some 6 Degrees of Derville up there, and even maybe some special videos coming your way. So subscribe to the Micheaux Mission on YouTube, because we're about to do big things there. Okay? All right. And also, don't forget, if you like podcasts, wherever you check out podcasts, check out The Class of 1989, our 6-episode series dedication to 6 black films that came out in 1989 that changed the culture forever.
And the whole thing is there.
It's all there.
It's all there, so you can listen to it in its entirety.
Yes. And tell us what you thought. Mm-hmm. And if you want to tell us what you thought, you can email us. Send an email to micheauxmission@gmail.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 215-867-9666. That's 215-867-9666, and tell us what's on your mind. I said it was going to be this week, but next week there's going to be a question for you that we're going to be putting out on Twitter for everyone to send us a little voicemail. You know what? I'll put it on a Facebook group, because that's where our family are. Mm-hmm. So we'll put it on a Facebook group for people to leave us a voicemail and answer questions here on air. Won't Dylan like trying to figure that out?
Hey, gotta keep him on his toes.
That's what we do here. All right. And don't forget, the Micheaux Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work, even ours, which streams live from the Video Content Factory here in Manayunk, Philadelphia's premier podcast palace. Mm-hmm. You can't see it, but the rest of the room is gold. All right. Next week.
Yes, sir.
Here on the Micheaux Mission, it's Vincent's turn.
Week 3. I guess it's not penultimate because we have a 5th week.
Yeah, we do have a 5th week.
But yes,
which we'll be announcing next week with a very special guest.
Yeah, 3rd week. Yeah, absolutely.
And boy.
Oh, yeah.
You thought Vincent could not dig any lower in the crates.
Oh, I got something for you. Oh, I got something for y'all next week.
Yes, he does. And this is a favorite of the Micheaux mission. It's Whoopi Goldberg, ladies and gentlemen.
Goldberg as you've never seen her.
In the movie that is probably number one on her resume.
You know what?
It's probably The View and then this, right?
I think Whoopi Goldberg might actually fight you about this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't think you should actually bring this up in front of her.
Really?
Oh, we'll talk about this next week.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you know Whoopi Goldberg got real strong feelings about this.
Does she? I know nothing about this. I know nothing. I've never seen this movie. I know nothing. I've never read anything about this movie. I actually thought this movie was a joke every time I would hear about it.
Oh, Lynn, my sweet summer child. You are in for quite the roller coaster ride then.
Oh my goodness. All right.
I see Sean Simmons in the chat already called it out. Oh Lord, not the dinosaur movie. Oh Lord, yes, the dinosaur movie.
Theodore Rex.
Theodore Rex.
From 1995.
Theodore Rex.
Next week here on the Micheaux Mission, ladies and gentlemen. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.